In the raw battlefield of human relations, where influence, control, and survival intersect, the truth is a weapon far more dangerous than commonly believed. Contrary to the moralistic injunction that champions honesty as the highest virtue, the brutal reality of power reveals a far more complex and sinister truth. Telling the unvarnished truth exposes you, disarms your defenses, and grants your adversaries the keys to your downfall. Niccolo Machiavelli, the quintessential master of political and psychological realism, dissected the fragile anatomy of power and concluded that truth, in its purest form, is often a liability. The most potent wielders of influence do not cling to truth as an absolute. Instead, they manipulate, conceal, and strategically release truths to maintain advantage and evade exposure. To grasp why truth-telling is so perilous in the realms of power, one must understand the intricate dance between perception and reality. Humans do not respond merely to facts but to their interpretations, narratives, and emotional resonances. The truth that one person holds is filtered through biases, fears, and ambitions of others. By revealing too much, whether intentions, weaknesses, or internal conflicts, you provide your competitors with a psychological blueprint. They learn how to predict your moves, exploit your fears, and undermine your influence. The strategic advantage lies in controlling not just facts, but the flow and framing of information. Silence, ambiguity, and selective revelation create an aura of mystery that confounds opponents and secures dominance. Psychologically, the act of telling truth aligns with deep-seated human drives for trust and connection. Trust is a foundational social glue, a psychological contract that facilitates cooperation and social bonding. Yet, trust is also a vulnerability. When you expose your inner reality, you relinquish control over how it is processed, weaponized, or distorted by others. The Machiavellian mindset views trust not as an open-ended gift but as a calculated exchange, to be earned cautiously and never given unconditionally. Revealing the truth without calculation is a reckless surrender of power. Emotional intelligence plays a pivotal role in managing truth's dangers. High emotional intelligence equips individuals with the capacity to read social cues, gauge others' motives, and regulate their own disclosures accordingly. The Machiavellian with refined emotional intelligence understands when truth will build alliances or when it will spark conflict. This capacity to modulate honesty, weaving partial truths with silence or strategic falsehoods, is a hallmark of effective leadership and survival. The restraint in truth-telling is not weakness but psychological mastery, reflecting an awareness of human complexity and social risk. Neuroscientifically, the cognitive effort to withhold or manipulate truth is substantial. It activates executive brain regions involved in planning, inhibition, and social cognition, particularly the prefrontal cortex. This neurological workload is a form of self-discipline, signaling psychological strength. Paradoxically, those who speak without filter or restraint often reveal a lack of cognitive control and social awareness, undermining their authority. Mastery over truth-telling correlates with higher mental flexibility, emotional regulation, and social adaptability. Everyone says honesty is the best policy. But what if telling the truth is actually the fastest way to lose power? Machiavelli knew something few admit: the more you reveal, the more you expose your weaknesses. In the ruthless game of influence, silence and secrecy often win where truth fails. Ready to learn why stopping your need to always tell the truth might be your most powerful move yet? Historically, Machiavelli's own political observations elucidate this dynamic. He famously asserted that rulers must learn how not to be good when necessary, advocating for strategic deception and concealment to maintain power. Rulers who operated with brutal transparency were quickly toppled by more cunning adversaries who mastered the art of obscurity. The Medici family's rise and persistence in Florence hinged on their ability to craft narratives, conceal intentions, and wield truth as a tool rather than a confession. This historical wisdom is timeless and universal in power struggles. The social consequences of indiscriminate truth-telling are profound. Unfiltered honesty often triggers psychological defense mechanisms in others, such as denial, projection, or aggression. This reaction stems from the discomfort of facing harsh realities and the threat to social cohesion posed by unvarnished truth. The Machiavellian leverages this by framing truth selectively, coaching difficult facts in palatable language, or withholding them to maintain social harmony and authority. This tactic prevents alienation and preserves influence. In personal relationships, excessive truth-telling risks eroding trust rather than building it. People often seek emotional safety and reassurance rather than brutal honesty. The Machiavellian approach is to balance honesty with empathy, delivering truths in a manner that respects the listener's psychological boundaries. This careful management fosters deeper loyalty and respect, as opposed to alienation and conflict. It reflects a sophisticated understanding that power in relationships depends on emotional calibration as much as factual accuracy. From a practical standpoint, the art of stopping telling the whole truth involves cultivating self-awareness and social intelligence. It requires recognizing when the impulse for transparency stems from ego, insecurity, or a misplaced desire for validation. This recognition opens the path to conscious control over disclosures. Techniques such as mindfulness and reflective practice enhance this awareness, allowing one to pause, assess social context, and choose what to reveal strategically. The psychological tension between authenticity and strategy is a central theme in mastering truth. While authenticity is valued in modern discourse, the Machiavellian warns against confusing authenticity with blunt honesty. Authenticity is about coherence and integrity of self, not unfiltered speech. Strategic truth-telling requires aligning disclosures with one's goals, social dynamics, and emotional impact. This alignment preserves personal integrity while optimizing influence. The power of omission, the truths left unsaid, cannot be overstated. Silence is a potent communicator, often signaling strength, control, or deeper knowledge. In many cases, what is concealed speaks louder than what is revealed. This phenomenon is supported by psychological research on communication, which finds that nonverbal cues and pauses significantly influence perception. Machiavelli's wisdom includes mastery over silence as a tactical asset. Modern challenges amplify the stakes of truth management. In an era of pervasive surveillance, instant communication, and relentless social scrutiny, the risk of overexposure is unprecedented. The digital footprint immortalizes every disclosure, often beyond one's control. The Machiavellian adapts by cultivating discretion, curating public narratives, and maintaining private reserves of power concealed from the public eye. This digital prudence is the contemporary evolution of ancient wisdom. Emotionally, ceasing to tell the unvarnished truth liberates one from the exhausting burden of constant defense and justification. It fosters resilience and autonomy, reducing anxiety associated with vulnerability. This emotional freedom enhances clarity of purpose and decisiveness, qualities essential for effective leadership and influence. Philosophically, this approach reframes truth as a tool rather than a moral absolute. It invites a pragmatic ethics rooted in outcomes and survival rather than dogma. The Machiavellian perspective acknowledges the messy complexity of human nature and the social environment, advocating for adaptive strategies over rigid ideals. In sum, stopping the unguarded telling of truth is a dark wisdom essential for power. It demands psychological sophistication, emotional discipline, and strategic insight. Those who master this art control not only information but the very narratives that shape social reality. Machiavelli's legacy endures in this profound truth: power thrives in shadows, ambiguity, and the carefully guarded secrets that shield from exposure.